So I think as both of us as Seahawks fans,
Yeah.
weirdly, I'm not shocked one bit, and I'm also not like concerned. Weirdly, like you would think you would be freaking out losing your, potentially, and I don't think we will lose
I don't think we will
Russell
either.
And I can't blame him because he is a good quarterback, and I don't think the franchise has done the greatest job. They've always been conservative, always run the ball, play good defense, and they never really moved off that, even because I don't think this is a bad team. Like, I think this is a team, if you get the right pieces, you could go win a championship. And I left last year going, well, yeah, that was frustrating, but we should be really good next year. And while there's a lot of things on the Seahawks, it's not like it's not all Russell's fault, because he holds the ball forever, which makes him great, which also makes him bad. So a lot of those sacks are on him, and a lot of those things are on Russ, even though he's so great. It's just, I don't even know where to go from here, but just kind of what's your thoughts on everything going on with the Seahawks and Russell?
I do honestly, though, him holding the ball and all that, I'm perfectly fine with that. He's a superstar quarterback. He does know what he's doing. But I feel like his problem, in my opinion, is kind of, we all know Russ really trusts his teammates. He really does believe in them. But sometimes you gotta understand that your offensive line isn't gonna do much. And it was working, honestly, for the first few games of the season. Holy crap, MVP Russ. He was looking so good. But I feel like he was just putting way too much faith in this offensive line. Because I know he does like to step back in the pocket, wait, maybe throw that deep ball, just create some just beautiful offense. Because Russell Wilson is just so great. But that doesn't really happen that much, though. He does get hit a lot and all that, and so I'm actually fine with one thing I do fault him for, though, is actually because I don't know, being a Seahawks fan and all that, I've always had this idea that Russ is a winner. He is, he's a guy that has like that Tom Brady mentality, and he doesn't, because Tom Brady, money isn't the thing he's thinking about when he's playing, because Russ took that insane deal, and Tom Brady's been taking pay cuts his entire career, and look where he's at now, and so, I was really hoping Russ would, though, so that we can get, one or two offensive linemen just off his contract alone, but sadly it's not been the case. And once I saw that he had a no trade clause, I was like, oh, okay. Because players, if you give a superstar no trade clause, you gotta expect that player to scare you in the future, and force you to make some moves, and that's what's happening.
Yeah, you nailed it. I was gonna talk about the fact that Mahomes just took a pay cut. Tom Brady's been taking a pay cut his whole career, and it's really not. There's a reason why he's won 7 championships, and that's the part where I fault Russ the most. Is you want all these things, and I can't blame him, but I don't love the way he's kind of gone about it. It's like not him saying it, but it is. And he's kind of being a wussy about it, honestly. Like, come out and say it. Like, you're upset, that's okay. I don't think Pete's been the best to him, as of late. But that's a lot of money. If you want to go be able to get players, you got to take a pay cut. And he hasn't done that. And already 2 offensive linemen that are all-pro guys that we were targeting have signed with other teams. That being Corey Linsley and Joe Tooney. So,
yeah.
He hasn't necessarily put Seattle in the best position, because Seattle probably thought that coming into this year, obviously we've been saying this for how many years, Eddie, since his rookie year, probably, that we need better offensive line play, and it's just.
And he was a rookie, though. It wasn't really like the most terrible thing, No. 2015, 2016, it got really, really bad.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess the Super Bowl run, they did have Max Unger and the guy that went to the Jets, who was an All-Pro, but I guess after the Super Bowl, it's been rough. But I don't know. I don't feel like they're in a terrible position because they're somewhat young, in my opinion.
Well, the thing is, Russ is like barely 30, man. You know.
Right. And well, you hit on it. I look at Russ as a winner with what is it? It seems. I feel like him and Dame are kind of the same in this way. You know, Russell has a championship, but you just feel good in the fourth quarter when you have those players on your team that you at least always have a shot.
No, I agree, and I do. Okay, he's a lot like Dame in my opinion because like they'll never leave, you know. But they're also in many ways not helping the team because Dame, he gets Supermax, that's fine because you can still build around him, you know, like in the NBA. But the thing is, though, he's also one of the main reasons why CJ McCollum has a Supermax too. Right. You know, Russ here, I mean, he wanted all the money. And so that makes it harder, honestly, for teams to build around you and all that, you know. And Jamal Adams, here's the thing, he was a really good addition, you know, Pro Bowl safety, you know, he's good, right? But honestly, it's like if you're willing to give up 2 first-round picks and more, you gotta give that stuff up to what Russell Wilson needs the most first, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I actually think Seattle's done a fairly good job of trying to bring in players, but it's always been on the defensive side, and it hasn't necessarily worked out. I don't fault them for the Jamal Adams trade. I'm happy they did it. I'm happy he's on our team. Like, he was so banged up and like wasn't even a good year, but he was still really good, if that kind of makes sense. And
really good. He's the best pass rusher in the NFL. You know.
Right. And it's not like they actually have 2 good offensive linemen to build around right now. With, I know Dwayne Brown's aging and he's like.
Also, he missed the entire season though, right?
Dwayne Brown, no.
Yeah. Oh, he didn't?
No, that was a couple of years ago, I think. He's getting old, but he's still been really good. And Damian Lewis, who they just drafted, was actually had a pretty good rookie year. So,
and we just lost Justin Britt. That kind of sucked, actually.
Yeah, that did suck, the center. But there's cheap offensive linemen, so hopefully they can make a play for some offensive linemen and get a better third option at receiver and actually get a real tight end for once. That would be nice.
Yeah, kind of sucked that Greg Olsen retired, honestly, because I thought he was actually really good from when he played with the Seahawks.
Yeah, he wasn't bad, and I think they need to move into a new state, and hopefully the new Rams offense coordinator that we brought in, who I'm actually pretty high on, should be pretty good for the Seahawks and everything. It was like made perfect sense. Like him and Russell should be able to work perfectly, and I think they should move into all in on the offense and just like a bend don't break defense, because you still have studs on that defense. Like Bobby Wagner is one of the best linebackers. Andre Diggs and Jamal Adams are great safeties. You know, the D-line play isn't the greatest, but it wasn't the worst at the end of the year. I know we just cut Carlos Dunlap, but hopefully we can bring him back or replace someone and just kind of be like the Chiefs. You know, obviously we're not going to be able to replicate that perfectly, and our defense should be a little bit better, but the Chiefs are really just like a bend don't break, and when their offense is right, they're going to win games. And I think that's kind of the state where the Seahawks need to move into.
Yeah, because like you said, though, it's like we've been getting defensive players and all that. But honestly, I feel like the front office should do as much as they can with the offense. Because, I mean, you know, while the defense does stop certain points from getting scored and all that, the offense is the one who's scoring points. You know, it's like their job. I really hope that happens. You know, receiving, I feel like offensive linemen should come first, and then receiving should come after that.
Oh, for sure.
Because Russell Wilson, he makes the receivers better, in my opinion. You know, he does. He's done really good with what he's had throughout his whole career. You know, but yeah, honestly, though, and I feel like this offseason, you know, because I mean, Russell Wilson in his camp, they've already had how many people like already thinking he's gonna leave? You know, it's kind of crazy when I hear like friends say, "Oh gosh, I wonder where he's gonna go." You know, and it's like it's like, oh, you actually think that? And so now the Seahawks obviously don't want that. So I'm surprised at what offensive moves they can make. You know.
Yeah, I think so too. Offensive line play is. Saying this for a while, but you know, the biggest key, and I think they will. I actually have faith in the Seahawks. I feel like they've made pretty smart moves over the years. I think for too long. This is where I fault them. Those LLB teams were awesome. That defense, they did such a great job drafting and, bringing in players. And I still think they've done a pretty good job drafting, in my opinion. It's just, you're not going to recreate that. And they need to move off of that.
You can't. No, you can't. It's almost impossible recreating that,
Right. And I still think they're set on trying to remake that. Like you see it with, they literally are just drafting like players of the same like body types of the old players they had, not like off skills. Like Trey Flowers is not that good, but they drafted him because he's a long, lengthy quarterback, because they had some success with that. Like,
I saw the song. I'm like, holy crap, this is the worst impersonation of like Jeremy. What's his name? Gosh,
Jeremy Lamb.
Yeah, Jeremy Lamb. Yeah, that was my impression of him.
Yeah.
So yeah, honestly, because it's the reason why I think it's been going on is because the Seahawks owner has died and more control has gone to Pete Carroll and all that, and then his daughter or wife or whatever who doesn't know anything about football, who just gave him the power. Though I feel like it's Pete Carroll who's kind of trying to rebuild that, those trying to do what he did back then,
Yeah.
But it's kind of impossible because Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, those guys are one of a kind, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you can't redo that. It's, you got. I feel like they should just move into more of an offense team, instead of trying to make that old defensive team again.
Yeah, I honestly think this is an overreaction, but me and my dad after that playoff game last were like, they should be done with Pete. Like, this is ridiculous. We're tired of seeing this where they just kind of like think they're going to putt around on offense all game and then they'll show up in the fourth. Like, I'm tired of seeing that. Like, I don't want to see that every game. Like, it's ridiculous at this point where, yeah, I don't think totally let Russ cook and let him throw as much as he did in the first half, but it's got to be a better combination of, quick throws. It can't just be, and DK Metcalf said this on a podcast, like, it's not hard to figure out the Seahawks offense. It's run, throw deep, run, throw deep. Like,
yeah.
What do you expect? They're just going to put two safeties high and you're okay, check down, and then they don't
They actually did do that too, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no. Holy crap, I think we've been doing really good today at nailing topics.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. I don't really have anything more to say on Russ at all, do you?
No, it was good to get all that out.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Oh, actually, I do have one more thing. I know you hit on this perfectly. Pete Carroll, he doesn't, he's pretty much his own boss at this point, but if somehow it becomes him or Russ, you got to go with the star quarterback. You have to.
Yeah, and not many people, I've talked to some people about this and haven't really agreed with me, because Pete Carroll, I feel like Pete Carroll is really, he's really liked by Seahawks fans from what I've seen and all that, But honestly, this guy's had one too many slip-ups, and he's supposed to be this great, head coach and all that. Because, I mean, if we would have maybe changed coaches after Super Bowl, like if the owner was like, wow, this coach really messed things up for us, we're going to go with a different coach. Earl Thomas he might have still stayed in Seattle. His things might have still stayed on the down low or anything, and we might have been able to do more offense. It's just like, I don't know. It's time to move on. Was what I'm trying to say from Pete Carroll.
Yeah, I think so too. Soon, and like, I think Pete's a good dude, honestly. At the end of the day, but I think he's been a good coach. Like, I'm not pissed that he's our head coach. Like, it could be way worse. We got 2 Super Bowl appearances in a ring, with him. So, right, but I do think it is after 10 years and he's getting older. I think it is becoming time to maybe start looking for a new head coach here pretty soon. That's okay. I think most Seahawks fans, even though we're probably all, but the ones that are smart or know football should be just about done with him. And that's not the worst thing. We can still be appreciative of everything he did, because like you said, 2 Super Bowl appearances, should have 2 Super Bowl rings, but one's better than none. So
yeah. Also, here's another thing too, though. It's just like, how many years did we hear Belichick is the reason why Tom Brady is so successful? You know, like so many. And what happened though? The star player was the reason why they were in contention like every single year. The first year without Tom Brady, look where they are. You know, let's say we do trade Russ or whatever though, we're gonna be one of those like 3-win teams next year.
Yeah. The only quarterbacks I hope we could trade for would be somehow convince him to go to Houston and get Deshaun, or somehow try and get Herbert.
Even then though, they're a downgrade, you know.
I mean, Deshaun's young, good, but yeah, at the end of the day, no matter what, it's going to be a downgrade.
And that's just how it is. Like, you never get a full return on a superstar ever.
Right. It would suck to lose him after he finally gets I love Lockett and Doug Baldwin, and they're really good and tough receivers, but DK is probably the only true number one receiver he's had his whole career.
Easily the most talented.
Right, and he's only going to get better. He still has his weaknesses and everything, but it's going to be his third year, and what he's done already is pretty impressive. And that's because of Russell. It's like, he probably isn't
work well together for sure.
Right. And Lockett's a great number two. So, like we've been saying, I think it will work out. And I think at the end of the day, he just wanted to put pressure on Seattle